everyone, I'm back after a week, as usual trying to stay on top of schedule. And I'm sorry in advance for the music in the background. It's a distraction for the birds so that they don't be the distraction. I do have Tony here. Hey Tony? Tony? Anyway, now she's up. Okay. In this video I wanted to talk a little bit about the challenges in the school system. Now, in high school, I did get a bit more help than I did before, so it's mostly the challenges that I had to deal with from basically the start of the school journey until grade 8. Now, from the start, it was able to fit in a little more with people that didn't have any disorders or anything, really. Like, the biggest problem for me, like, before was my ADD, which I didn't know I had until grade 5. So keep that in mind when I say this, and the fact that I had a lot of trouble getting through that. And my biggest problem, I think, was French. I did learn a bit of French in kindergarten, but it was mostly French courses in grade 1 that I was taking, well, that I was a part of, and since it was French immersion, and I had a lot of trouble with that, mostly because I think it was mostly because of my Asperger's, because it's with logic, and a lot of logic isn't used in French, especially with the verbs, but it was the fact that also since it was logic and patterns, it was almost like a Google Translate and translate it from English to French a lot, and that was a little difficult, especially since a lot of it was not the same. And I just had a lot of trouble just like learning it. It is a very hard language to learn if it's not your first language, but I'm sure a lot of you know that. But also because of my Asperger's, I didn't catch on as quickly as I should have. And thing is, for me, it's slow for me to learn, but once I get the hang of it, it's just like, I get it. It's like I get it, everything like makes sense and everything, and it's like, I may have 1 or 2 questions about it, but other than that, it's fine. So that was one thing, because at school sometimes you have to go fast and it's not a lot of time for them to teach you something, especially when they're teaching like 25 other kids too. And yeah, and then I think it was around grade 3, one of a member from my family who's a teacher taught me math and French, because I was having a lot of trouble with that too. I think it's mostly because of my ADD and Asperger's, the fact that I was looking for patterns and everything. Sometimes there isn't one, especially with complex questions, I guess you can say, like one that doesn't require patterns. And also because I kept on getting distracted in it, because I did have a lot of problems with my ADD because of that. Because problems in school was because of my ADD, and that got me like a lot of low marks because I didn't have a lot of time to do things. Because I keep getting distracted, and basically in a lot of things, I wasn't that interested in a lot of things, mostly because I didn't get it. Like, if I didn't understand it and it was really hard for me and difficult to catch on, I didn't really like it. So that kind of taught me to hate school a bit. And like everyone, I hated homework. But thing is, up until grade 5, even after grade 5, because I started taking medication for my ADD, I always had trouble keeping up with the work, and sometimes difficult catching on. I just either did it at home or I just didn't do it because I didn't understand. And I was also very shy, so I didn't ask a lot of questions, which didn't help at all. And sometimes sometimes I failed because I didn't get enough time. Because like in most schools they have like this special class like for like kids with like a lot of like disabilities, like birth defects and everything. And I wasn't part of that, and they knew about my ADD, and yet they didn't really do anything. Like they didn't give me extra time or anything. They never really thought about doing that. And that was a really hard challenge for me because of that. And I sometimes didn't pass tests because I didn't have enough time to answer questions or anything. Quizzes, schoolwork, even homework sometimes, a lot of times. Yeah, it was basically in high school, and it was a friend that I'm no longer friends with, but a friend of mine that I had, and he was going to, they have this thing called the resource room, and it's basically someone who has basically went to school and like helps kids with disabilities, with mental disabilities like me. And I went there, they asked me questions, they talked to me, and they said that they could help me, especially with math, because it was academic math, which is like university level in grade 9. It's like math for university if you're planning to go there. And it was really, really hard because it was like so difficult, like I don't know any other word for it, but it was also really fast. And with my ADD, I don't do fast very well. But I went there and they helped me, they gave me more time on tests, I started getting a bit better marks, I did passing the math course, but at 50. And then I basically went to summer school where it was basically just learning half of what I did. And because I switched to apply because I was afraid I wouldn't pass it because it was only for 2 months. I went to summer school for 2 months and got 86 in applied math for grade 9 in 2 months. And basically that made me think that maybe I should switch to applied for a few things, but if I was planning to go to university at all, that would have really backfired because it was really fast. And yeah, so that's a really big challenge in the school system because they should have schools for people with disabilities, like just for disabilities. Like I don't think they have one here in Ottawa. And that's a really big thing that is very wrong in the school systems because they sometimes just don't do anything for people with disabilities, like mental disabilities. They have a lot of things for physical disabilities, but they need to catch up with mental disabilities. So those were some of the problems I experienced in school. I'm not even gonna get into the problems with trying to make friends because of my Asperger's. And so yeah, so that was just basically the learning problems with my disabilities and OCD. Everything had to be perfect, especially with drawing too. Just a little thing right there, just put in the at the end. And that was really fast talking. Anyway, so yeah, that's my little thing on little problems with the school system with Asperger's and ADD and OCD. So yeah, so if you want, you can like, subscribe, comment on stuff, on other things you want me to talk about, problems in society. So yeah, so till next time.